Hi, I'm Kate Edwards from Together Hospitality. I'm joined today by
Jodi Bernhard. I'm the C.O.O. of Figure 8.
Cool. What does Figure 8 do?
Figure 8 supports restaurants. What we do is support them with their digital revenue systems. What that means to us is any system a restaurant is using where a guest is ordering from them digitally, which essentially means anything except verbally giving somebody an order. And so that has become a pretty broad area for restaurants these days as the industry trends more toward digital ordering. It can include everything from the traditional online ordering, app ordering, third-party marketplaces, but it also can include ordering from a kiosk or viewing a digital menu board. Okay. Exactly.
For the companies that you work with, QSR, more casual dining restaurants, what's the biggest opportunity that you see right now?
One of the areas that has been happening dramatically with is catering. So whereas in the past, you would have thought of catering as a restaurant or a catering company brings food to your event, puts on a whole party, and then that has sort of evolved into what we would refer to as on-demand catering. That just means being able to order it yourself for a large group and order it on demand or on some sort of a scheduled basis.
And so again, back to the digital platform, you're using it's a digital form for ordering for a large group.
Exactly, where we would have never had a role in the old version of catering, where you're calling up a venue and saying, I'm having a party in my backyard and I want you to come cater it, and it's all very analog and manual.
Right.
Our role is in the world where I'm going to order a group lunch for my office for tomorrow. So maybe I'm going onto a cafe's website today and scheduling a 12 o'clock delivery for my team of 30 people. That's an on-demand catering situation. That's what we're supporting restaurants with. And that's the reason demand is created for that area, is because of things like back in office for many companies that are requiring in-person days again. One of the things that they're doing is incentivizing their team by providing lunch for them. And many restaurants just don't know how to do it. So that's why the demand from their end is we just don't have a system for this, and it's not a direct translation from your a la carte on-demand ordering.
So if you are a restaurant, like what are the opportunities for people who are like, that sounds interesting, but I don't know if it's for me? Like what are the opportunities that it brings?
It's incremental revenue that's even more valuable than other forms of revenue because it's predictable, it's scheduled, which makes it naturally for a restaurant operation a more profitable sales dollar.
Yeah, I was in a quick serve restaurant yesterday and I was there early before they opened, and they were busy filling up large orders in large bags.
That's an on-demand catering order. That's a great example. And the other thing this does that is a great benefit to restaurants is it can fill dead times. If you're a restaurant where you always have a serious lunch rush and you have a serious dinner rush, everybody knows from 2:30 to 4:30, you've got a lot of people around, you've got a lot of food in your building, and nobody's buying it. So many times these on-demand catering orders help fill those hours before lunch, between lunch and dinner, things like that.
And then what are some of the barriers that you see that come into play when people are trying to do it, but it's not going the way they want it to?
Two of the first barriers that a restaurant who's not doing it at all would experience is, one, creating the product for it. It's not, again, you can use your a la carte menu as a basis for an on-demand catering program, but it's not necessarily, I have the sandwich on my menu for the on-demand catering, it's just going to be 10 of them. There's a whole new basis, cost it differently, package it differently. So that's one. And then two would be the technology. Even if you're a restaurant who's using a very sophisticated tech stack, just knowing what's the best on-demand catering platform to integrate into that, or if it's a function that you already have within one of your tech platforms, those are just questions that can be overwhelming because there's a lot of noise out there in the restaurant tech area.
Do you find that people are they having trouble with hot food versus cold food? It seems like cold food lends itself to this thing, but is hot food something that still people are going to be delivering?
Absolutely, and absolutely challenging, especially because I just noted that one of the advantages is predictable and scheduled, so you need to prepare for it. You need to stage these orders, and you're bringing at, in some cases, 50, 60, 70 food items together at one time for somebody to pick up and then deliver to a location. Restaurants will need to think about that in terms of the timing, their planning of the preparation, but also the packaging and essentially all of the elements that go around the timing from it being in the package to delivery.
What are some of the essential things you need to make sure are in your operations that you can do it seamlessly?
If you have the luxury of being a new restaurant, to start an on-demand catering program, it is space. You can envision the kind of space you need. If I'm ordering my lunch for my team of 30 people and I'm doing sandwich trays and salad trays, all of that, in order to package that, first of all, you have a tray, which is much larger than a to-go container or a plate. So you just need space to stage that, lay it out, and package it. I always recommend, I would call it a dispatch station, which would be where you're keeping all of your catering supplies, which also should include an extensive system of labeling, not only for large trays, labeling what food items are in there, but many on-demand catering orders do include individually packaged meals, in which case those should be labeled with the name, or at least with what the meal is.
Do you also need a space? We see this in quick serve restaurants where there's a pickup area in the front. Is that also an area where you would advise these delivery folks to come and get the large format catering?
I would not advise that in the same way that you would for if you're going to have a pickup shelf for regular a la carte orders that are being delivered. It's just a higher level of risk in terms of ensuring the right person is picking it up. Another example, especially here in New York City, but in other big cities, it's not out of the question that the courier has not arrived with the proper vehicle to carry 5 trays of food. They might be one guy on a bike. And so these are things you have to manage from the restaurant side of it. So I would always recommend having it staged somewhere back of house, or just not right out in front and accessible. With a catering order, there might be little dishes of side sauce that need to go with it. There might be a bag that has bread in it that needs to go. So you want to make sure everything's good.
So it's one thing to be known for your restaurant items, another thing to be known for being fast and efficient and delicious. So how do you market this?
Yeah, this is a whole different approach to marketing. One of the strategies that we use and recommend with clients is to plan ahead, make a calendar. And with catering, it's more important because, as you can imagine, people want catering when it's centered around an event. You can build a catering content calendar for marketing a year ahead because you know what those dates are.
And then you were talking about how there's a higher demand because more people are in office. How do you market that to those folks?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it actually is probably one of the biggest challenges because for the most part, those orders are coming from a person within the organization. You don't always know who that is. One of the things that you can do whenever you've got a regular a la carte lunch order, maybe 1 or 2 people from an office have ordered, you can put some marketing materials on those orders. When it arrives, maybe there's a postcard stapled to the bag about, hey, if you tried us for catering, and you can use the traditional forms: digital advertising, organic social media, email marketing.
Any sort of success stories that you can share?
We've had a number of them where, I guess the most recent one was a client that we worked with who had a really strong brand following, really strong organic social media. They had catering. The way their catering worked is it was an email address on their website. It was fine, but it was very limited in terms of their ability to take in those orders and just people knowing about it and being attracted to it. Interestingly, they had technology in their restaurant tech stack that already had the capability to do on-demand catering. They just never took advantage of it. We basically turned that on for them. We launched an on-demand catering platform for them. We did some marketing around it. Dramatic increases to the volume of orders coming through that channel compared to their old manual way of making. With our new method, it was just like go into an app or click on this and place your order yourself.
So is there one thing that you're like, this is why you need to think about doing this, adding this to as a revenue stream?
It's about the ability to make your restaurant more profitable in a way that helps you and your team retain your sanity. And as I mentioned, it's very profitable. They tend to be very low cost. You can predict the labor with it. This is just a way to make your restaurant sort of busier, but in a way that your staff is happy to be able to execute.
Right, and you have full control.
You have full control.